From the dense forest of the Pacific Northwest to the remote corners of the globe, we continue to unravel the enigma of Bigfoot, one clue at a time. Don't miss this gripping expedition into the realm of cryptozoology. Tonight on Newsworthy, two words and two question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. Two words and two question marks.
Well, Jerry, we're here. A day
Yes, we
short. Well, how's that saying?
A day
go?
late and a dollar short?
A day late, $1 short. $290 short, actually.
Yeah. For those that might be in doubt, a bumper sticker I saw yesterday sums it up well.
What's that?
The bumper sticker said, "Please lower the price of gasoline. My body is not built for OnlyFans." So, yeah, I think it's what you were trying to tell everyone, right?
Yeah, well, that and sort of. Yeah, whatever. If that's what you think, sure. No, I was. Man, it's been a weird couple of days.
Hasn't it, though? But
So
we're back.
we apologize. This is only the second time in over 2 years now that we had a delayed episode. The last time was I was ate up with freaking cancer and was feeling really shitty.
Yep.
So this time, much better. Just a technological glitch that we literally worked for hours to get fixed.
But to be honest, it doesn't take a lot to throw us off technologically.
No, not really. It was
part of it was was switched from Libsyn to
Riverside FM.
And the other part was my computer not cooperating. And yeah, long story short, we're here, but a day late, $1 short.
Well, not only that, we had to switch our episode for whatever reason. I kept thinking this was the first week of June. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we sat down and we planned out the next 3 months worth of episodes. We started getting guests for those episodes. Was supposed to have a guest for this episode.
Went to Google Drive and planned all of our next 3-month episodes. And like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot to throw us off technologically. We can't even read a friggin' calendar.
And
you're saying it wasn't just, it was both of us.
And then Wednesday, we got ready to do the show, and Jerry calls me. He's like, dude, are you prepared for the actual show? Because you've been talking about the topic we're going to actually cover tonight. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we're not supposed to do Bigfoot until next week. And I'm like, what?
This week is Atlantis.
Yeah. So we switched them because of research values and time. So we will be covering the lost city or civilization of Atlantis next week.
Next week.
Sketty says hello to everyone. And then, so this week is Bigfoot week number 2. And the reason that's exciting is because, she really wanted to get in on the action. But
Feeling left out.
she, today we put in our deposit for our booth space at the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival in Logan, Ohio, the first weekend in August. Woo woo!
We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be, if you've ever had an encounter, if you've ever had an how would you put that, Jerry? If you've ever wanted to know about the things about Bigfoot, that's going to be the place to go.
Yes,
And if you've had an encounter, come see our booth. We want to interview you. We're going to interview as many people as we can that week. And I was thinking what we could probably do with that, and this is just me spitballing on the air. Probably should keep this for after the air, but we may just have a bonus episode once a week with like a couple of different interviews.
We can do that
if we get enough. So
yeah,
that'd be fun. Be fun times.
we shall see.
Fun times.
Yes, it will.
So last week, if you notice, we were on Podbean. Just so happened we still had for like 2 weeks had an account at Podbean. Libsyn really, last week's episode, I want to publicly apologize for. Wasn't a very good episode. We were distraught. We didn't cover Dull Space. We didn't give it its proper props, I don't think, at all.
Furthermore, to digress for a second, a minute ago you said this week is only the second time in 2 years that we uploaded our episode late.
Yeah.
That's not exactly true.
Well,
Last
yeah.
week it was uploaded, 3 days late?
Well, that wasn't our fault.
It really was.
Oh, okay.
Once again,
that
we're
wasn't my fault. That was your
technologically
fault.
How was it my fault?
Well, just because you're wearing a blue shirt.
We actually recorded the episode Wednesday night like normal. Again, we had logged on to Libsyn and found out that their recording software had been done away with. And there was an email that said, effective immediately, you can no longer access the recording software. So we had to go back to Podbean. We did. We recorded the episode and uploaded it to Podbean. What we didn't realize was when we switched from Podbean to Libsyn, the RSS feed changed. And for those that are basically like Steve and I, which is technologically illiterate, basically.
Stupid.
We don't have a clue what that means. Neither did we. We knew, but we didn't think about it. So we recorded the episode on Podbean, and it went nowhere because that's no longer our correct RSS feed. So, yeah, recorded it on Wednesday. Sunday afternoon, we figured out, hey, no one's got our episode. So Sunday afternoon, we fixed it, and most of you saw the episode come up then. We do apologize, but yeah.
Been a rough couple of days, couple of weeks, but I think we've got a new home here now. I think. I can't. I don't know that to be fact, but I really think we have a new home here.
We hope.
We finally figured out some stuff. It sounds good. It gives us the opportunity at some point to actually do video if we choose to. Jerry has a face for radio, though, so we may not actually do that.
Oh, if you could only see the face that I'm looking at and think, and he's saying that about me.
Hey, I cut my hair. So,
my dad joke is going to explain a lot of the problems we've had in the last few days. It
really
is. Yeah. You want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
They say that 97% of people are actually stupid. Thank God I'm in the other 5%. That joke, there's more truth there than we like to admit, because that would certainly explain a lot of our problems in the last few days.
That would explain what happened to me yesterday.
No, you were just having
I accidentally drank a bottle of invisible ink.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I spent half the night at the hospital waiting to be seen.
Oh, I like it.
That's a classic dad
I like
joke.
that one. Yes, it is. Big time. Absolutely.
Oh, wait. Watch this, Jerry. I just want to show you this. Oh, it's gone. Never
Watch
mind.
Perfect sound effect. Yes.
So, 10 minutes in. Let's go ahead and hit the topic tonight. It's a good topic. I'm pretty excited about. We were going to have a couple of different guests for this. One of them has a work obligation. Shame on him. Um, he will be in for Bigfoot Part 3, which is right before we go up to Hiking Hills. It'll be later in the month, next month. And he's just going to come in and talk about our encounter because that was the same. He was involved in the same encounter that I had, unfortunately. Pretty scary stuff. Uh, and his brother also had an encounter that he wants to talk about. So that's going to be cool. Pretty stoked by that. But Jerry, when we started doing this, you have a couple of criteria that makes you sway your mind. What are those things?
To explain exactly what you meant by that, I'm a huge skeptic of most things. That there's not a logical, scientifically proven answer behind. I'm a big skeptic, and I've always said that there's two things that I need to sway me. At least one of the two, preferably both, and those are very credible sources and are a large number of witnesses that are telling the same story. And I've said that about multiple uh, different events that we've covered. One of the first ones I remembered was when Brett was talking about Phoenix Lights incident.
Yep.
Huge number of people, thousands of people, and it's hard to imagine that thousands of people would suddenly spontaneously start telling the same story if it was made up, if it was not truthful.
Right.
So, yeah, those are the two criteria that I have. You're not saying that they would apply to this, are you?
I'm absolutely saying that we're going to apply to this. And tonight we're just going to talk about the United States. We're just going to talk about
in relation to what?
In relation to Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. I didn't even know if we'd said that yet.
Yes. We are just going to talk about the United States, the number of sightings that have happened in the United States, where they're prevalent at, which states have sightings but haven't really had a lot of sightings, and we maybe explain why that is a little bit. I'd like to go into that some. And
I'll have to leave that to you.
That's okay. I got you. And then we're going to talk about a few things that have happened in history, or a few things that are kind of scary with this particular topic, because anytime you're talking about a primate or another, so let me back up just a second. There's about 3 mainstream ideas about what Bigfoot is. A giant Pithecatus. I'm butchering that word. I know I am. Basically was a giant ape. We have proof. We have fossilized proof that existed in other continents. There's never been a great ape that lived in the Americas. But that's to say discovered great
and
ape.
No ape that we know of is completely bipedal, are they? They can be. Bears can walk on 2 feet. Dogs can walk on 2 feet, but primarily they're not. Of course, I know apes are never primarily bipedal.
Yeah, they usually use, even if it's just on an occasion, their front arms are that long to help climb and to help walk. Right. The second school of thought is that Bigfoot is a completely new species, something totally different, not a great ape, somewhere in the middle. And a growing school of thought is that it is a leftover, a hangaround from the Neanderthals. Neanderthals, a lot of people think that those were very small pre-human hominids. If you look at the chart, that it shows humans growing taller, but that's not exactly true. Fossilized proof has shown that Neanderthals were actually up to twice our current size, and were muscular, were covered with hair, were very primal, if you will. And in fact, our brain is pretty much the only thing that saved us. That and a couple of different ice ages that we were able to adapt to and that they weren't. Um, we could do a whole show on just how Homo sapien beat out the Neanderthals, and I want to say that's Homo erectus. Is it what their scientific genome is?
I think so.
Um, but that's a cool show for a different day. But some people think that maybe because there's a lot of things that Bigfoot is able to do that shows a very strong intelligence. You don't stay hidden and out of view or take care of your wounded or your dead the way that they do without having some sort of intelligence. So then, of course, you got all your fringe people that believe it's a phase or a shapeshifter or aliens. There's a lot of that out there, but not as much. Most of your mainstream people think it's one of those three things. So tell us about some numbers, Jerry.
Some numbers. Well, let me go back to my two criteria.
Sure.
Number one was credible sources. I'm going to start with that one. There's a guy by the name of John Wilson Green. He was a Canadian journalist, a leading researcher of the Sasquatch Bigfoot phenomena. He was a graduate of both the University of British Columbia and Columbia University. He wrote multiple books, and two of his books, Sasquatch, The Apes Among Us, and The Best of Sasquatch, he discusses a database that he compiled that had more than 3,000 sightings and track reports, with the majority of those being in Canada. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Hunting Bigfoot. He starred in that. If you haven't saw it, and if you're interested, it is currently on Prime Video, and you can watch it. Just search for Hunting Bigfoot. Uh, if you want, we can also leave a link to it in the episode notes. A better representation of the actual numbers. Live Science reported in 2019 that there has been more than 10,000 eyewitness accounts of Bigfoot in the continental United States in the last 50 years.
How many?
10,000. Now, that's not counting the majority of John Green's 3,000. The majority of those, not all of John Green's were in Canada, but he was in Canada, the majority of his work. 10,000 that Life Science reported occurred in the continental United States within the last 50 years, and that was released in 2019. So obviously it's talking about from 1969 through 2019. Now, just do the numbers. That's an average of 200 per year for 50 consecutive years.
That's a lot.
Once again, going back to one of my criteria, a substantial number of people saying the same or very similar story over a long period of time. If 10,000 spread out over 50 years doesn't qualify, I don't know what would. Yeah, now the vast majority of those have occurred in Washington State, very, very northern part of Oregon, and that area right there. But every single state within the continental United States has reported sightings within that 50-year time period. It might be a good time point for you to mention. You said you were going to talk about. Well, here's the map. And as you can see, and we were talking about this some yesterday.
Right.
The vast majority is in either Washington, Oregon, or in the eastern United States. There's a large swath that goes from Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, down into North Carolina,
Right. And
Alabama.
A lot of that has to do with habitat, just like any other wild animal. They have, and a lot of people believe that Bigfoot is a creature that moves. They don't make homes. They are nomadic. They go where the food is. But when you're talking about Washington, Oregon, Northern California, all of Western Canada, as far as that goes, most of Alaska, that is an unexplored or very lightly explored, very dense, very old forest.
But not near as much forest as Montana or Idaho.
Right.
But they don't have the sighting.
I think that has to do with elevation.
Could also be number of people there to see them.
Right. It has to do, in Idaho and Montana, very few people as far as compare that to the number of square miles within the state.
Population density.
Population density.
Absolutely.
But you have, in Idaho, the average anywhere in the mountains, the Bitterroots, the Rockies, any of those mountain ranges in Ohio, the average is above 4,000 feet. You get above 4,000 feet, there's not a lot up there. There's not a lot of game. There's not a lot of fresh, unfrozen water. There's not a lot of things that we believe things like to eat and drink. Um, so in those dense old growth forests, plenty of game, plenty of food. People have known Bigfoot to catch and hunt rabbits, deer, goats, many different whatever we eat, they eat basically berries. Um, uh, they are very omnivore-ish,
Mhm.
much like bears and humans. And when you get to be that big, you have to be almost. I mean, because food sources are different at different times of the year.
Right.
Um, and now you switch over to where in the eastern United States where most of those sightings are. The Appalachias, Virginia, Georgia, northern Georgia, North and South Carolina, Kentucky, uh, Pennsylvania. Those are also areas where the population centers are very concentrated and there's large swaths of area that is lightly and or not very much I won't say explored, I'd say
Not
it's much
heavily
more explored,
populated.
but it's not heavily populated.
Right.
um, and I think that has, if I'm a big beast that doesn't want to be found, that's where I want to hide.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Where I don't have to compete with humans for food. I don't have to compete with humans for safety. um, Deer during hunting season, and you can ask any deer hunter, knows it's almost like they have a biological clock as to when it's hunting season, and they go to the places that they know the deer hunters aren't going to be. Does that mean deer hunters don't ever get deer? No, but they don't get all the deer, and there's a reason for that.
Well, you hear a lot of deer hunters say that a lot of deer hunters will be out in the woods when it's not deer season, trying to figure out where are they.
Yeah.
Once it's season, where do I want to go?
Right.
Those same people will tell you, I see deer everywhere until deer season. Then it's like someone rang the bell.
I used to go. Our former governor here in Kentucky, Brereton Jones, has a farm over in Woodford County, and I used to be able to go to his farm once every 2 weeks, to do a delivery. Got to meet Mr. Jones a couple of times. Great dude. He was very, very down to earth. But his farm is a deer sanctuary. He won't let anybody hunt there. And he often joked with me. He's like, well, you can get up to the house now, but come deer season, you probably won't be able to get up to the house because you won't get through all the deer. Knowing that he knew that those deer were going to be on his farm come deer season, because the deer know that that's a safe space.
Amazing, isn't it?
It really is. You can ask my buddy Ray. He's probably the most avid hunter that I know. Ray and Easton, and they say the same thing. So, the ones that they get are the ones that are usually heading toward those safer spaces or too far away to get to one of those. So, pretty interesting thought. So, tell us some more about what we got going on here.
Well, one interesting thing that I found in researching it, believe it or not, Bigfoot has an FBI file.
Wow.
It was released to the public on June the 5th, 1977. This isn't hearsay. This isn't something I got from some conspiracy theorist website. We will provide a link. This evidence that I'm telling you comes from a FBI.gov website. The file that they released, you can still go to the link and view it. I think there's 22 pages of it. It all started when a guy named Peter Byrne, who was an explorer, an author, a cryptozoologist, and Bigfoot investigator, had requested that the FBI analyze 15 hairs that his crew had found, and they said they were not able to identify them. And they had submitted them to the FBI for investigation and said, actually, they requested permission to submit it, and that was granted, and they submitted it. Now, to be completely fair, the FBI's investigation did determine that all 15 hairs were deer. So it's not like that the FBI investigation said, yes, you've got proof of a, uh, a species that we're not familiar with. I'm not saying that. I am saying that the FBI thought it was important enough and that there was enough evidence out there to do an investigation on on Bigfoot. That blew me away that that the FBI had a file on Bigfoot.
Wow.
I never
Well,
heard
it
that.
shouldn't. I mean, we rescued many groups of Bigfoot off of Mount St. Helens before it blew. We covered that story, remember?
We did. We absolutely did. FBI would not have mentioned any of that, but yes, we did cover that story.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got. Tell us what you've got for us.
Well, I wanted to go into, a lot of times Bigfoot is portrayed in a way that Harry and the Hendersons, the Sasquatch that they, or the Bigfoot that they use for uh, beef jerky. What is that called?
Don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
I don't eat beef jerky, but I've saw what you're talking about.
Yeah. Even on our own logo, Bigfoot's given the peace sign.
Yep.
However, there is many reports, and I think these are a lot more accurate, to be honest, representation wise, of what would happen in the wild if you happened to cross a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I agree. Jack Links, by the way, is the name of the
Jack
jerky.
Links, yeah. So we're going to talk. I wanted to talk just a little bit about some of the stories that are yet believable, and on the other hand, scary as hell. Because I don't want to give the wrong impression about where I come down on this. I 100% want to believe that Bigfoot exists, hands down. Okay.
Okay.
And when you listen to some of the stories and the accounts of when Bigfoot attacks, that's pretty scary. I got to go on an awesome podcast podcast with Wes from Sasquatch Chronicles last year sometime, I think. And we got to chit chat a little bit, and he hears, and if you ever want to check out a really cool podcast about Sasquatch, I would highly recommend listening to Wes's podcast at Sasquatch
And
Chronicles.
he's absolutely great guy, by the way.
Great dude. Tried to help. When we were first starting our podcast, went way above and beyond trying to help us out. And that made me very, very happy. But most of the time, when his people are talking about their encounters with Bigfoot, you have two basic varieties of an account. You see the accounts where we saw Bigfoot on the ridge across the way, and we were on this ridge, and we saw him walk in, and that was that. Or I guess there's three. The second one would be we heard the whoops and the growls that couldn't have been anything else. And then you have the ones where you have a face to face. And those go one of two ways. Either, we see each other and we both run away, or Bigfoot stands its ground and you run away. If any of those things aren't the case, then it's probably not a real sighting. There is no Les Stroud is the guy from Survivor Man. He is Survivor Man. Takes all his cameras out there by himself. He'll put a camera, walk 2 miles back just so he can get a shot of him walking. Really crazy. Every time he's ever been in the Pacific Northwest or in Alaska, especially, he has always felt like he's been watched. He has heard things that of anybody on the planet who doesn't know what something sounds like that should be there or shouldn't be there. I'm going to take Les Stroud's word for it. When he says that, hey, I heard something that shouldn't be there, and it scared the hell out of me. I'm going to take his word for it. He has no reason to gain. He's never produced a Bigfoot show. He's never written a book about Bigfoot. He's not trying to profit over that. He's just relaying what he saw. But short of Les Stroud, if me or you are out in the woods, Jerry, and we see Bigfoot, we're not going to sit around for very long to try to engage or have a conversation. We're certainly not going to sit there and film him for 18, 20 minutes and be completely quiet with a dog. Saw a video, and the reason I bring that up is I was watching a video for this episode where a guy had some pretty convincing footage. I was almost ready to buy in, but then he mentioned that he had a dog, and the dog was perfectly quiet. I can't imagine a dog with their sense of smell and their sense of well-being
And their eyesight, that's so much better than
Yeah.
ours. So if we could see something scary, they saw it before we did.
Yeah, and there's no way that they're going to be like, oh, because I mean, Sketty sees her own shadow and barks at it. You know,
And if they're scared enough, they'll run, but they will not sit there and be quiet.
right. That's not what they're meant to do. They want to protect you.
Yep.
So, anywho, back to what I was talking about. I was, oh mercy, I'm sorry. That is some. I have found a new wine that is local, and I'm trying it out tonight. It is pretty good stuff. It is bottled in Melbourne, Kentucky, and it is Stonebrook Winery. It's blackberry wine. It's very tasty. You should have some, Jerry.
I think I had enough last week for a couple of years.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Jerry? Do you think that if Bigfoot is real, and I'm just going to on the assumption that he is, and you stumbled upon him, what do you think he would? How do you think he would act?
I don't know. As far as I know, he's never attacked anyone. Now, like you said, when you were describing the 2 or 3 different types, some of those, when it's up close and personal, are scary. But I've never heard of him, a Bigfoot, hurting people. He's never killed anyone that I've ever heard that was even alleged. It's usually a matter of him trying to get away, him running. I'm sure it would be very scary if it were to happen. If you were to see some big, huge, hairy creature that's obviously capable of tearing you limb from limb, how in the world could that not be very scary? At the same time, I've yet to hear of any allegation that Bigfoot attempted to seriously hurt someone, because if they wanted to, they certainly could. And that's not happening.
In between 2018 and 2023 alone, just that 5-year period, 1,180 people have disappeared from our and that's just our national park numbers.
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. Gone.
I had no idea it was anywhere near that.
Just saying.
So it could have eaten 1,180 people.
Well, not it. If you believe that there's one, there has to be a sustainable population. There can't just be one. You know what I'm saying? And we're pretty easy prey if sure. We are. I'm a pretty big dude. I'm 5'11", 260. And he's standing at 7 foot, 580. Yeah, 600-700 pounds.
Picking up.
I'm nothing.
18-inch trees and tossing them like twigs.
Right. I mean, I'm nothing. I mean, I'm a snack. I am a snack, but you know what I'm saying. Between it just blows me away. And we have bona fide accounts of people being attacked and harassed all night long by something.
But not physically. We don't have reports of that. Maybe attempts. People said they thought they were trying to be attacked. If Bigfoot wants to attack you, he will. What's going to stop him?
Right.
We have no witnesses that have saw that happen, correct?
Not exactly. Let me
close to it.
Yeah, let me pull some stuff up here. I've got some I just want to make sure that we cover all this because I want it to be good. In Georgia, for example, on Blood Mountain, a woman back in December 10th of 2020 encountered a very angry Bigfoot. And I'm just going to highlight this a little bit. Now, this is a report written by Tobias and Emily Whalen, and it was written for the Singular Fortean Society.
Okay.
According to Strickland, she was out camping with some friends in Blood Mountain, which is up in the northern part of Georgia along the Appalachian Trail. It's on the northeastern side of Georgia. 20 years old at the time. We'll go on the record to say I was not drinking. You know, everybody, that's the first thing. Oh, how much did you drink? We had a
What's your
bonfire.
dealer's name?
Yeah, right. As some people know. Had a bonfire and people were pretty mellow. We weren't whooping and hollering. We were mostly hanging around telling stories from the week and whatnot. We heard something over on what would have been my right side toward the denser part of the woods. They were only about 5 miles off the main trail, so we weren't terribly far. It only takes us about half a day to get there. We heard something moving around that was pretty big. Most of us were hunters that were there, so we could pretty much distinguish between squirrels and bear and deer. So we heard something really big. We assumed it was a bear, and like any good red-blooded American, we got our guns. Just to make sure, because you don't shoot unless you can see it. We got our lights and we walked out to see what it was. A lot of the girls were making high-pitched squeaking noises because they were frightened, versus me and the guys who were trying to be big men who went out there and thought it was probably nothing and we'd scare it off. Right there in the tree lines, our light kept catching something big and reflective that was probably 6 feet or so tall. If it were standing just behind the trees, its eyes looked like they were 6 to 8 feet above the ground, which made us think that it probably wasn't a bear. Bears aren't typically that tall in the area where we were at. Basically, they get black bears and maybe the occasional small brown bear that wanders far down from Canada. But black bears were far more common and only stand about 4.5 to 5 feet tall. So, like any red-blooded American, we shot at it. Me and this other guy named Wolf, yes, that's his legal name, he and I were the two closest, and we shot. We were the ones closest to it, and either his or my shot landed on it, and there was a lot of noise from the gun, so it was hard to tell what the creature sounded like. It wasn't a movie gorilla noise. It's like gorilla noise, but much, much deeper, which again, there was a lot of gunfires and stuff. So that's the best I could describe it from memory. We didn't see it anymore, so we went to investigate the area because if it's down, then we obviously needed something to do something about the body. Bodies left in the woods aren't good, typically. They attract other predators. Or we need to hide the evidence if it's a bear because we didn't have our bear license. At least he's honest. We didn't see anything aside from large indentation in the leaves on the ground as something large had been standing there. And blood had pooled in the leaves along with some of the trees moving away from camp. We saw broken branches and up as about as high as 6 feet. And that's the story about how I shot Bigfoot. Pretty crazy.
I'm not buying that at all.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, I don't. First of all, you don't shoot what you don't see. That's just stupid.
You're an idiot. If
Yeah.
you have a gun and you're shooting things you can't identify, you're an absolute idiot.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, if you think you shot Bigfoot and you go examine the area and you find blood and you don't collect some of it, you're an idiot.
Right.
You're
Not only that, or you can't. I don't. Yes, I agree with what you're saying.
You can't turn around and claim you have all this evidence that you shot Bigfoot. But you're, again, like you said, first of all, you go to prison when you start shooting things that are moving in the woods and you can't identify it and you don't know what it is. You very likely you just killed another hunter.
Right.
You don't do that crap.
In most states, to be in the woods at particular seasons, you have to wear some sort of orange, or what's the new color they're going to? That vibrant green color.
Something that will stand out.
Yeah, but not all. That's And the first rule is you don't aim at something you don't aim to kill. Anybody who has any gun safety courses knows this right out of the gate.
I had an uncle that passed away several years ago. He lived in rural Kentucky. He lived in Wayne County on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. Where he lived, there was probably no more than 15 homes within a 10-mile radius. He lived out in the boonies. He hunted deer all year long. As he loved to tell the story, he hunted deer all year long, except during deer season, which he said was far too dangerous, too many idiots in the woods. What you're telling reminds me of
Isn't that the
why he
truth?
would have said that.
That is the truth. Well, I have a few more stories, but I think I want to hold them off a little bit because we're getting close to time for the episode already anyway.
One thing that I want to say before we
Sure.
go off the air.
I would love, we got plenty of time for that.
You have said many times, and I absolutely agree, that in today's world, with everyone and their brother having a cell phone in their pocket at all times, which obviously means that you have an ability to record, take pictures, record video. In addition to all the trail cams, people's homes that has cameras on the outside, it's only a matter of time. And I'm not going to say 6 months, a year, 5 years. I don't know what the time period is, but if we don't get far better evidence within a relatively short time period, very few people are going to be left believing in Bigfoot, because how long can it hide?
Right.
To put that in perspective, the very best evidence that we have is still, to this day, the Patterson Gimlin film from 1967. The video that was shot, what is that, 57 years ago?
Yeah.
57 years ago, the footage shot by Patterson and Gimlin is still today the best evidence that scientists have not been able to debunk. They don't say that it, conclusively proves Bigfoot, but so many people have taken a look at that and not been able to say it's fake and we can prove it. So, yeah, I agree with what you've said many times. There's a ton of evidence. There's a ton of people, over 10,000 sightings. There's a tons of stories when you begin to read, as you have. There's a ton of evidence. Somewhere along the line, we're going to need better, more concrete evidence if we're going to continue believing this.
Yeah. And, that's the thing. We get these videos, and here's the part that really bothers me. When you have people, and I'm going to call them jackwagons, go out and fake stuff, that doesn't help anything. That might get you a few minutes of fame, but you're very soon going to be debunked because there are very, very big scientific minds trying to discern the truth here. And if you put out something fake, you are going to be debunked. You are going to be labeled a fraud. And then what in the world? You gain literally nothing from that, unfortunately.
You don't.
And it just really, really, really bothers me that we still have in this time, in this day, so many, AI is another one. They are trying to utilize AI to create these
fake videos.
Fake videos. So now we don't see the front of Bigfoot, but we get a really clear picture in the back of it. And that really doesn't do anything to further the research. It's I come from the aspect that I really, really want this to be the real deal. I think that do I believe it impossible that Gigantopithecus is roaming around in the woods? No, I don't. For many years, a kangaroo was labeled as a cryptid until it was proven. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And we absolutely know that those weird jack things are. Have you ever seen one of those?
No, not alive.
Dude, they're the most weird creature. Now,
I have eaten.
Have you really?
Down at the Somerset Wild Meat Banquet.
Was it good?
I thought it was. In Somerset, Kentucky, there's a church, Victory Baptist Church, I believe, that once a year puts on a wild meat game banquet, and they have everything: shark, tiger. They import stuff from everywhere. I thought it was one of the better meats that I tried that night.
Wow. They're so weird looking. Like, and I'm not talking about the females, they're much more, but the males look like they're go to the gym. It's weird.
Very muscular.
Yeah, just they're bizarre.
If you ever saw the video of the guy who's out in the bush and his dog sees one, charges at it, and it takes its arm and is holding it and is beating the crap out of his dog. And this guy goes out and punches it in the face. I'll find the video and let you watch
Yeah,
it later.
thanks. That's just what I want to see. Anywho, well, Bigfoot number 2 is in the books. I feel like that, we really struggled to get this off the ground here, but now that we've got this first episode in the books with Riverside FM, we've gotten through this little hiccup. I think we're going to be in good shape now. We'll be able to cruise on and be in much, much better shape going forward. So
We certainly hope
stick
so.
with this. We appreciate your patience as we try to work through this last few weeks, and hopefully we've got it figured out to where it's going to be okay from now on. That was an interesting episode, but our journey isn't over yet. If you stay tuned, we have an exciting bonus story coming up after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to land. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, an intriguing ghost story, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, please get in touch with us. You can reach us via email at newsworthywithstephencherry@gmail.com or send us a text at area code 540-709-1318.
And now, back to the story. I have counted my years and realized that I have less time to live than I have so far. I feel like a child who won a pack of candies. At first, he ate them with pleasure, but then he realized there was little left. He began to taste them intensely. I have no time for endless meetings where the statutes, rules, procedures, or internal regulations are discussed, knowing that nothing will be done. I no longer have the patience to stand absurd people, despite their chronological age, that have not grown up. My time is too short. I want the essence. My spirit is in a hurry. I do not have much candy left in the package anymore. I want to live next to humans, very realistic people who know how to laugh at their mistakes, who are not inflated by their own triumphs, and who take responsibility for their actions. In this way, human dignity is defended, and we live in truth and honesty. It is the essentials that make life useful. I want to surround myself with people who know how to touch the hearts of those whom hard strokes of life have learned to grow sweet with the touches of the soul. Yes, I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry to live with the intensity that only maturity can give. I do not intend to waste any of my remaining desserts. I am sure they will be exquisite, much more than those I've eaten so far. My goal is to reach the end, satisfied and at peace with my loved ones and my conscience. We only have 2 lives, and the second one begins when you realize that you only have one. That's from Mario DeAndre from San Pablo, 1893 to 1945, who was a poet, a novelist, an essayist, and a musicologist, and one of the founders of the Brazilian government. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.